The stream is live.
Are we live already?
It says
We can't
live.
be live. I have to do this first.
You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jordan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Boom! That's exactly it. Do that. Let's do that. Boom! That's exactly it. You know, we used to do that when I was with Chris Stone. All those times, when you're coming off, you have to put your arms in the air. I mean, it gives you so much more energy just to do that. Watch, I hear. There you go. Look, watch. You see, you don't need to feel better. I'll have you do it here, tough guy. Look, see, go ahead. Do it. Put your arms in the air. There you go. Don't you feel so much better?
I do.
You don't realize that you can effectuate the way your entire day just by the way you get up in the morning.
By you know, is how you feel. That's how it works.
By the way, for those of you watching out here, this is sponsored by Outsource Access. Awesome virtual assistants. I mean, probably the easiest thing you can do to improve your business career is simply just have somebody. You create the strategy. You're the mind of this whole thing of your career. You do the strategy, but the implementation, setting up, sending out the post and doing all those things. Hey, by the way, that was, in case you guys are watching, that was the palm. Joe Miller felt as if you needed to read his palm. And so he did this. So that's his kind of his love language right there. So you could see. Have you ever had your palm read there, Joe Miller?
I've always been scared to do that, Dan. Oops.
Oh,
sorry.
You just disappeared on me.
Yeah, hang on. Look for me.
This is, what that's a picture of. Sometimes you see a beautiful pasture and then there's a bunch of cows there and they're eating all the grass and everything's good and they're kind of working their way around. And then they ate all the grass and then they went away and then it went to nighttime. And that's what I'm seeing here with you. So we got that going on there. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to figure out how to make, wrong one. I made the wrong one big. See, this is what you need a virtual assistant for, to take care of the backroom stuff. You see, just when you think life can't get in. Oh, look who's here. You're back. Now
Sorry
we got
about
all
that.
this.
All right, so this is
I don't know who this guy is, but we're going to take him off. Look at that. I am so proud of myself that I was able to maneuver that whole thing. I can't hear you worth a squat. So here's the thing. This one has the audio on it.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Go ahead and talk.
The reason it happened is I can hear you through the mic, right? This is stupid. This is old man stuff here.
Hey, look at this. We got this. So what are you doing? What are you doing in the garage? You're like, are you in St. Louis?
I'm in New Orleans, and
it's St. Louis.
This is I'll give you the story. So this is the house I grew up in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm in the house that I grew up in. This garage was, that's probably not 200 square feet or so. But my parents, this is like in I'm sorry for this because I'm on my phone, right? So I apologize.
It's all right. I mean, that's what happens. I mean, you're in New Orleans and you just handled a terrorist attack. We can't expect.
Yeah, this is like 15 minutes from here. Yeah. So this garage was built in the 50s, early 50s. My grandfather built it. And then in the early 80s, My parents were very involved in the church. So what they did is they raised this thing up, had it all. They spent like 20 grand, and that was back in the day. So
Really?
yeah, and they turned this into a church. This little
Your
bitty
house?
nothing, the garage. So every Tuesday they would have Bible study, and there would be 35 people in this little bitty nothing room. And my dad would actually teach the Bible. And my dad was like the quietest dude ever. So
Really?
I never suspected he would ever do something like that. Now it looks trashed out because it got wrecked in Katrina and we never really rebuilt it. So let me just give you, so the backstory is the pastor, after Katrina, the pastor goes, "Hey, can I live in your house?" And I went, "Yeah." And I did, like, super cheap, like $300 a month. I said, "Yeah, no problem." So what he did was he converted what was the church into this place where God's his God child was living. And I'm like,
Oh
dude,
my.
you can't do that. So that's why you see panel. This was really, really nice back in the day, but we never were going to fix it after Katrina. So
Golly.
just to keep going. So the house next door we bought after Katrina because the lady was leaving, bought it for nothing. It was wrecked. So we put it back together. I wanted to selling it a couple of years ago. And but all the stuff in that house was like from generations of people. Like they used it as the storage locker, and it was a whole house full of stuff. And
Oh yeah, they
so I
do that.
that culled it down to what's in this place, and I've got hours and hours and hours. And the thing is too is I have memories attached to a lot of this stuff. That's the problem.
You know, my son is in the junk removal business, and so he gets this stuff like crazy, and this whole hoarding thing, it's
Mm-hmm.
so prevalent. And we kind of say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this person's like this." Have you ever been in your attic? I mean, I'm looking at my attic. You go to do the Christmas stuff or what have you, and I am a LinkedIn user. Look who's here. Tell the trash can food story of
Oh,
your dad, Joe. But
jeez.
yeah,
I will get there.
we're all a bunch of hoarders. I mean, there's so much crap that you have, and you just can't throw it away as you're trying to clean up. My wife was at the lake last week. And so, I was doing stuff at the house. So I was looking for something. So as I was looking for something, I'm like, this drawer is demolished. So then I started. So I never found what I was looking for with those little pie weights. Like when you're making a tart, you have to put the pie weights in there. Otherwise, the whatever it is, the crust will puff up. And so I'm looking for these pie weights. I know I have pie weights. I wound up using beans because I couldn't find the pie weights. But in the process, I went through every cabinet in the house, and they're all a freaking wreck. I mean, I don't know. Do people just like throw stuff in there from 30 feet away? And it's a nightmare. So I took everything out to clean. And as I took it all out, I found like cell phones, like the first cell phone, a little Nokia. And I'm looking like, why do I have this thing? But did I throw it out? No, I put it right back in like a putz. Oh, going on with this stuff. And so you can't throw this stuff out, so you can't really mock them out. Is what they do.
Like this Bible was my mom's Bible. Like, I'm not getting rid of this.
Yeah, I know.
Like, look, here's another one. Look, this is literally greatest moments in pro football. I got this when I was a kid. So this must have been like, let's see what year this was from. That's the Green Bay Packers right there. So that's
yeah.
So that's Jim Taylor. So this is how old this stuff is. And I'm like, I can't get rid of this book. How old? 69 this was printed in.
Gosh.
And I'm like,
isn't that great?
Yeah, but I don't really have a space for it. I don't really use it, but I don't want to get rid of it. I'm like, I just gotta unload some of this stuff.
I think, I think, I don't know. I wonder why those memories like that. We need to keep those things. It's not like it's not like you grow from it, and if you never saw it again, and your kids have to throw it out, when you're
Yeah,
done.
that's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought about too. Is, my daughter's not going to want to deal with all this.
Yeah.
She's living high in Nashville. All she wants to do is come in and cash a check and go home.
What's this trash? What's this trash can story?
Oh, the
Trash
trash
can
can story.
foods.
So, okay, so my dad is is doing this fellowship here in this little bitty nothing, right? In this shed
Uh-huh.
that he converted. And my dad, he was he was Cajun, but he was super quiet. He was a quiet guy. I mean, you didn't know what he was doing, and he liked it like that. Well, when he dies, I go to, I'm at this funeral, obviously, and people are coming up to me like, your dad gave me a car. And it was like multiple people that did that. I'm like,
Oh,
well, wow, that's
really?
nice. Yeah. Yeah. Your dad put me through college. Now, it wasn't college prices
Yeah.
weren't what they are today. Your dad
Right.
put me through college. I went, really? And it was like 3 or 4 people. And I'm like, I didn't know any of that. And then somebody came up to me and said, our family was hungry and your dad came by with a garbage can full of food. And then like 12, 15 people told me the same story. I'm like, I don't know what he had with trash cans. I guess it was just easy to carry. But he would bring trash cans of food to people on Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Isn't
And
that
if they were hungry.
isn't that great? I mean, there's all these crazy things. Was there ever, so that's weird. So two things happens. One, sometimes you think you don't realize the stuff that your dad did, after they passed. But another thing is like you don't really think that they're human until after they pass. And like I remember my dad, one story, larger than life in my world. Like he came from Europe and he had nothing, and he was just he always felt like he had a fight. He was just always, the veins were, he had a perpetual vein coming out of his neck. Like
Very
everything,
Very French.
yeah, everything was intense. Like the slightest thing. This fork, this is not the dinner fork. You hear that? I mean, everything was like very intense. Like, but he wouldn't, almost like emotionless. Then one time, and he hadn't seen his mother in a long time, and she was coming from France or coming from Israel, I think at the time. Hadn't seen her in years and years. And old and all that stuff. And back then, when they come to international, in JFK, for some reason, there was this big kind of plexiglass or maybe an actual glass wall in between that, so he could see her, but she still had to go through the whole turnstile and whatever. And she was right there. My flipping dad, first time I saw him cry, and he like wilted into a little boy, like balled up into a little ball and like shriveled down, on the thing. It was like I remember this emotion. I'm thinking that can't be my father. He was I saw him as a little boy, and it was the first time I'd seen him as like a human. And it was a poignant moment in my life. I was probably in my early teens or something. I said, holy crap. And then and I think about that, not often, but I think about that our kids somehow think of that, crazy stuff about us too.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, nothing. I just wanted to share. So my son Matthew called me today. And that's how you know things are going good, is like when something good happens in his world, he calls dad. And so he just got a deal today that he's paper signed, wired money, the whole thing. He he's a little junk removal business, so he just takes junk and all this stuff to demolish a building, like a real $50,000 demolition.
Wow.
Like it's a building, and he's got to rent these excavators and and big dumpsters and things like that, and coordinate the whole thing. Loves it. He was so excited.
That's awesome. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
It's really, I think that's where business is. The business is, it's everything happens slowly and then all at once.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how did you get that job? Well, 5 years of, pissing around.
Yeah.
And then people in sales think that they need to rock and roll all the time, like it's a constant struggle, a constant level up. You know what sales is, Joe Miller?
What's
We got to
that?
get rid of this little ghost in the middle here.
I'm sorry. You want me to see if I can cancel that out?
Well,
this
no,
is my,
you can't cancel that. You just you got to do the voice. We're going to lose your voice. You see? I can make you go away, but now I can't hear you. See? No, I can't hear you. That's
sorry.
it.
If you want, I can do it quickly. What happened is StreamYard wanted me to use this as the in the app, where the other thing's online. So that's the reason we have two different people. That's why that showed up like that.
Well, you sound so good with the blue parrot.
This thing is awesome, man.
People don't realize that. You tell everybody about the blue parrot. Nobody knows what it is.
It's Dan Jordan approved microphone is what it is. I found out about the blue parrot from Dan. It's great to use when you're in the car. It's great to use anytime, really. And that's why I took it with me, is because the noise cancellation is so good. And
I just dropped my pen.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be one of them days. But the deal is, they use the truckers use these things so that they can talk when they're in the big cab, and it's so loud. And if for noise cancellation, I haven't used anything better than this.
Yeah, if you go to a truck stop, or anytime you're driving around, you go to a truck stop and you look, you see all the truckers, they have it around their neck. They're all wearing the parrot. Did I tell you the story about that? Because I was so impressed with it when I got it that I here's mine. I had I think I wrote a theme song for him. Blue parrot, it's clear as a bell. It'll work even if it fell on the ground. I forgot the rest of you're after, I don't know. There's another verse to it. Anyway, Blue
Hopefully
Parrot.
somebody from Blue Parrot is watching today.
Anyway, so I sent it to them saying it was so great. They sent me a dozen of them.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I
appreciate
gave them
the
out
one you
like
sent
prizes.
me. Not.
It was before I knew Joe Miller. But yeah, and that's one of those things, never, I think we talked about it the other day. Never do something, be mean to somebody that can hurt you by doing nothing.
Right.
Meaning, so like, for instance, we had my wife and I, my daughter got us a, for Christmas or something. What they did was they bought us like a weekend getaway at a local hotel here. It would be really nice that we're going to. It was supposed to be, we're leaving tonight, but my wife got ill, and so she has a little touch of the flu or something. Ouch. And so we had called to change it to next week or what have you.
Gotcha.
My daughter called to go ahead and change it, whatever, and they said, okay, yeah, it's $100, and we do the other thing. And so I said, let me call them. And so
let me Chris Voss him for you.
Yeah, that's what I did. I absolutely Chris Vossed him. And so the first thing I call and I said, you're gonna hate me. This is the worst call of the day that you're gonna get, and so be prepared. And then I said, listen, I have a problem, and then I explained what the problem was, but I didn't ask them to fix the problem. I just said, I have a problem. And then this gal was compelled to find a solution. And so it just kind of worked. And so we got the $100 off, and they just changed it. I mean, it doesn't matter to them. They're going to rent the place anyhow. It's no big deal.
Right.
And so they didn't need to do it. But she could have just easily had said, nah, you know what? That's policy. And so that's someone that could hurt you. And it's just like that with anyone. It just pays to be nice. And I think you taught me it. I actually did it today. I was at a meeting this morning with somebody, and he was in kind of an ornery mood, not really bad, but just in a mood to kvetch. Oh, kvetch is a good Yiddish word for like complaining. Kvetch, kvetch. He was just like, just talking crap about things. But then he got into it a little bit. And so I just like paid him full attention with like, not a smile, but like that I was really interested. I acted like I liked him, like you told me to do last week, and that's the trick, dude. If you want somebody to like you, like them first.
That's I'll tell you a quick story about this morning. New Orleans has, I always think of New Orleans as a place of just characters. People are just, it's not that they're odd, it's just that they're different and they don't care. But this morning I had this thing. This is a Chris Voss thing this morning. So 5 o'clock, like 4:45, the trash guys come by to pick up the trash, and this house is close to the street. So the dogs are going crazy, like and so now I'm up, and I'm like, I'm Dan Jordan up. Dan gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like 5 o'clock. Okay, I said I'm gonna go walk the dogs now. So I get Freddie the dog.
That's awesome. You're out walking at 04:30?
Yeah, so listen to this. So this story, how the story goes. So I got Freddie the dog, and we were on the porch, and I look out. I mean, this isn't a big house, right? It's not a big property. And I'm like, there's the dog on the lawn, and he's got a like a safety harness on, like so you can see him at night. And I'm like, the hell is it? And then I look down the street, and there's, like, halfway down the block, there's these flashing lights, and it looks like, one of those medical scooters that, drive around in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I put Fred back in. There's a couple of things about this story, right? And I got to tell you, I'm a little pissed because here's the dog, crapping on the lawn. I'm like, oh, come on, man. And so I was like, I'm gonna go talk to this guy, right? I'm gonna set him straight. So I go over there. And it's an older gentleman. He must have been 75, something like that. And he had, like, you could tell he had a whole bunch of medical conditions. And he had these 2 dogs. And they were beautiful and they were very sweet. And I'm like, come on, man, you can't just let your dog poop on the lawn like that. And he's like, dude, I'm so sorry I didn't see it. And like, you know what? And I just went, hey, I'm Joe. Who are you? And it was a Chris Voss thing, right? Just like, introduce yourself. Just say, hey, I'm Joe. Who are you? Hey, I'm Gary. Gary, everything's cool, man. Ain't nothing. The best thing is just for you to have a good morning. And we sat there and talked for like 10 minutes. And he has that what we call a Yat accent, like where you at. So it's very New Orleanian, right? And he's telling me stories, and I'm like, this is so much better than fighting with people,
I know.
Like, right? And then Gary goes, so here's the other thing. There's actually some Cialdini in here too. So I'm petting his dog, and I said, what's your dog's name? He goes, Fred. I said, you're kidding me. That's my dog's name. I was just getting ready to walk him. So we have now this moment where we have commonality, right? And I'm thinking, what are the chances that his dog is named Fred? And we sat there and talked about that. I was like, what are the chances that your dog is named Fred and my dog is named Fred? And we just sat there, but we were able to get.
Yeah, so there's your buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Like tomorrow morning, he says, I do this at 5 o'clock every morning. I take, because he's in a scooter. So he says, I have to take the dogs out early in the morning. I said, that's cool. And then so
you don't meet many Freds. Yeah, that's cool. You see.
Yeah. So you tomorrow I'll see Gary. I'll see Gary at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning walking Fred.
Dave Roberts is calling me.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Hey, yeah, you know who you don't meet? You don't meet many Freds. We also don't meet many Dennises. Like there's nobody. Yeah, there's nobody under 40. Nobody over 40 whose name is Dennis, or maybe under 40. I'm like, yeah, you don't meet any Dennises anymore. Any grown-up Dennises. The name went away.
Hey, by the way, do you have any like interesting sales stuff you wanted to talk about? Because I've got one if you don't.
Yeah. Hit me up. Well, I got a ton, but I like to talk. What do you? I want to hear your story. I want to hear Joe
Okay.
Miller's stories.
So, we're fixing this house. We're fixing the house up, doing all that kind of stuff. So, wife says, "Hey," because I mean, we're outside of New Orleans, about, I don't know, 5 miles or something like that. So, but it's I don't want to say it's rural, but it's middle class, right? It's the working man's part of town.
Yeah.
And so the closest thing for me is Walmart. So says, go get these things at Walmart. I said, okay. So I'll go there. And I need to get spray paint. Well, all the spray paint is behind a locked door, a locked window now. At least
Spray paint?
Mhm.
Huh.
I don't think it's from the stealing as much as people sniffing it, believe it or not. Anyway, so I get there. This is, it's like 7:30 in the morning now, since I've been up with Fred. And I go, I have to go to the, it's all locked. So I'm like, who has the key for this? So I find a lady in electronics. I say, do you have the keys for this? She goes, yeah, I got them. I said, okay, I need to get some paint. So she comes over. First of all, she's on her phone. This is where I'm going.
Mm.
She's doing this the whole time she's talking to me. Looking on the phone, looking down.
Oh.
And so she didn't have the keys, the right keys. So then we get the floor manager over, and she's going to get the keys. She can't find the keys. But here's where I was going with all this. I looked at a lot of employees in that store. 90% of them were on their phone.
The employees?
People on the floor. People like they're walking doing this. They're standing doing this. They're doing a lot of this. A lot. And I'm like, but I thought about myself. It wasn't just about them. Like, I do that sometimes. I do that probably way too much.
Yeah.
But it's the distraction of the thing that takes the attention away from the person that's most important, and that is the person on the other side. That's what really got me, is like, am I doing that myself? Am I, not paying attention? Am I not planning well enough? Am I not just being present with someone, if I want to use that word, just being with someone?
Yeah.
And I was amazed at how much distraction. Look, I if you want to go for a guy who has distraction, I'm at the front of the line. But I was amazed at how many of their employees, like, even if you go to the checkout, like they're and then they'll check you out, but they never say, like, hey, good morning, like, happy new year, hey, I hope you're having a great day, like, thanks for coming to Walmart, hey, you buying some paint, what are you painting?
But if they did, the thing is, that's such a great opportunity. I actually love that, because all you have to do is kind of be normal of 1987, and everything, everything. It's so much better. And you know what? And it's kind of fun. I don't understand this. That people don't. I remember when I moved to Atlanta. I tell you why I moved here. I moved here once because I because of my wife. That's my main thing. I moved here. But when I was in New Jersey, I used to play this game that I never lost. And I always felt that I never really belonged in New Jersey, because I was generally happy. But it's not like it wasn't, morbid, but it was always kind of like, picture, like some Eastern Bloc nation, like Hartford, Connecticut, like, it's just, kind of buildings and gray and smoke and what, it's just like, that's how the attitude is, And so, what I would do is I'd walk down, the street. If I'd see somebody, I'd smile at them, and they'd smile back. And I thought, I win. Because, like, I forced them to smile, because that's the law. It's like turning 65 and moving to Florida. Right. It's the law. And so you gotta, I smiled at them and I did it. And in New Jersey, I never lost. I came here to Georgia, and I'm walking down the street, and somebody was walking the other way, and the woman just said, hi, and smiled at me first. I'm like, oh crap, and so I'm like, I gotta do it. So, that's very possible. You can, affect somebody's mood very quickly just by, giving them attention. People kind of crave that, and it's fun. It's fun to be able to affect somebody else's mood. Simply what you do is,
well, that's selling, right? You better be affecting somebody's mood if you're selling to them.
yeah, and that's the warm up and the introduction. Basically, try to figure out what's going on in their world, emotionally, and then call it out. You look like you're having a good day. Or if they're having a bad day, just say rough day,
Right.
Just something like that, and what they, you're worried that you're going to insult them about, putting them in a bad mood. If they're in a bad mood, they're already in a bad mood. You're not making it worse. But what you're actually doing is you're noticing them, and they feel noticed. And so same thing, if somebody's on their phone like that, you just say, you look like you got a good story going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And what they'll do is they'll look up and they go, and now you got them, just by, I think they used to call that just notice. I think they call that framing now in the sales world.
I hear that. I hear the frame all the time now. Like where? There's some things that I never got the memo on. Framing's one of them. I get what it is, but I don't know when the term just exploded.
It's just noticing. Don't be afraid. It's kind of a cool thing. Don't be afraid to, call someone, and just saying, in fact, this is what I'm trying. I know I started the story about my wife. Yeah. So I was working on this stuff with my wife. I did something. I gave her, I said, hey, by the way, here's something never to do. Never see a video about something about improving your health and send it to your wife. Said, oh, go ahead and watch this. So I said, because it was a lot of things, how to eat better and to have with your coffee, some oil in it or what have you. And then one of the benefits was, and you'll lose weight. And so all she heard was that I called her fat. I'm just sending that whole thing. And so she says, she said, this happened, by the way, when we first got married. Oh, I think I said, we're sitting at the table and it was like, can I pass the salt? Can I pass the salt? And I thought I asked, can you please pass the salt? But apparently what she heard was, you hate my cooking. You don't like my mother. You think I'm fat. I don't know. But she broke down in tears. It was like, you couldn't communicate the whole thing. Anyhow,
think about it in a sales situation.
Yeah.
You just say that but you never dig deep enough to find out what's really the problem.
Never.
Right?
Nothing is less appreciated than an unrequested advice. It's actually a criticism.
That's a really good point.
Anyhow, so I sent it to I sent it to her and we talked about it and all that stuff. And she goes, okay, that's great. I don't want to talk about it. And so I know that I'm in the middle of it now because she says I don't want to talk about it. But instead of saying, what's going on, all that stuff, I didn't mean that. Instead of getting, I just went, and I said, Chach, I call her Chach. I say, Chach, you say you don't want to talk about it. The way you said it, how can I do that? Like, how can I not talk about it? Just like that. How can I not talk about it? And next thing I know, she says, well, you said that. And we had the discussion, we worked that out. And I'm like, holy crap, this stuff works on your wife. I'm like, that's nuts.
Chach, I hope you're not watching.
Oh yeah, that's one of the benefits. She never watches me. I've given speeches all over the place, in places where that woman has never seen me. People will walk, she won't do it.
I know. All the podcasts and stuff I've done, she's never looked at one of them.
One time, my mother, I was doing something up in, I think it was Connecticut. It was someplace up there. Have you ever been to Mystic Pizza? Like Mystic Pizza, so I think it was in Mystic, Connecticut. There was a manufacturing place there, and I was giving a presentation, and my mom was in New Jersey, and so she said, "Oh, let me come and see you." And so my mom was in the audience, and it was with, it was a corporate event type of thing. It was 100 or so people or whatever it was, and I make fun of myself. I make fun of my family, and there's a couple of. And so I told my mother, because she's very, very honest. Like, she's one of those people that, it's just whatever. And so I looked at her and I said, Ma, I'm going to say a bunch of things. There's some embellishment going on. I had to warn her. I said, you are not to say that didn't happen, or not to make a face like, oh no, he just whatever. And I warned her ahead of time. She couldn't not do it. She couldn't not do it. I made some sort of joke or whatever. Like, and I think she actually stood up and said, that didn't happen. I mean, totally.
God.
Oh yeah.
You know what? That would have been a great, have her as the plant, right?
Yeah.
And then that's played off for her.
I
made her part of the act.
But she has, I think we're all a little bit on the spectrum. My mom's a little bit there, and so I don't think she knows it. She wouldn't handle the joke, Right. She was always ashamed of me being a salesperson. I was at an event. I'm going to go back here. I was at an event, and I think it was like her retirement party. And so she was there, and all her friends were there, whatever. And so some of these people who I never met me. And so I heard her in a conversation, and the woman said, she goes, I met your son, Danny. He's very nice. And, we had a nice conversation and all this stuff. And then my mom said to her, she says, well, he's a salesman.
There you go. That's a
he's
good
really
way that's a good way
he's
to end
really
this.
not that nice.
He's a salesman, and now he's an old salesman.
Yeah, that's right. Just an old sales guy. God, was fun. I remember that manufacturing place. They made like some components, and one of the things that they made was an RVLP propane regulator dual tank over. RVLP propane regulator dual tank over something valve. It was something like that. It was like I memorized the whole thing, and it was like it was important. I think the point I was making is, actually, this is what I said: RVLP propane regulator dual tank over tank. Wait, something. What kind of valve is it? Dual tank, maybe just a dual tank valve. But anyway, I said. I was saying when you're selling to somebody, know a little bit about them and their product. And so I'm like, everybody's a salesman. I don't care if you're a truck driver in human resources, or the guy who changes the gasket on this thing, which we all know is an RVLP propane regulated dual tank changeover valve. And the guy in the back of the room says, that's great, but that thing, it was like my mom was there. I think you don't need to change the gasket on that thing. Screwed up my entire joke. But the point was made. They were much more endeared to me because I knew a little bit about, I knew an intricate thing about their company. I won them over because I knew something that other people, they wouldn't expect to know.
Right.
That's how you get customers. You want to know the inside stuff, something crazy, something small. And that you've taken the time to learn about them.
We're over time.
You know what?
37
minutes is 1 minute from now. You have any closing things, old man?
I see live. Yeah, I'll tell you one quick thing. My uncle, who was a PhD in organic chemistry and became a salesperson for a company, and you would think, this guy's going to be a nerd. He was really smart. Matter of fact, in this house right here, he told me, I don't know, I must have been 15 years old. He says, sales is the grease on the wheels of free enterprise. I'll never forget when he said that.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Sales is the grease on the wheels of free enterprise. I'll leave you with that right there.
That's awesome. Well, who's better than you? No one. All right, this is fun. This is we just need to talk to some salespeople out there. We get beaten up all the time. We need you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Eat well, live long, and prosper. Go out and get them there. Next time we'll work out you won't be on your phone, but that's amazing that you could be on your phone and we're doing this stuff.
Anywhere in the world.
Life is too easy. I tell you what, we talked about a little, really, I think the quest for ease and comfort is the ruination of society. I mean, we
Ooh.
need to be going out. Things are too darn easy for us. It's so easy, but then again, nothing can be so easy that you will actually do it. Like, how many people are not doing live stuff? How many people are not going out and making handwritten letters? How easy is it? And they're still not ready to do it. All right, we'll talk about it next week. I'm starting to fetch too much. Go get them today.
See you. Bye-bye.
And screw.